The idea is to understand that what you perceive as motion, even this motion, even this represents going through a multitude of infinite universes. Because this is a universe, that's 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 a universe. Makes you giddy, doesn't it? Literally, you are changing universes all the time, flickering through them with your consciousness at such an incredible, shall we say, rate of speed that you don't even realize you're doing it. You're doing it all the time. You're doing it right now. You've been doing it forever. You will keep on doing it. Therefore, what are the implications of this recognition? Everything is connected. Everything is one thing. When you change something, everything changes. By understanding that every change is a total change, miracles are possible. Anything goes. The degree to which you understand this concept means that in one moment of experience, you can be completely one way, and in the next moment of experience, you can be completely another way. Or, in one moment of experience, you can be completely one way. In another moment of experience, you can be a little bit different. In the next, a little bit different. In the next, a little bit different. In the next, a little bit different. But even though you may be using the shift to make it appear as if you're simply being a little bit different, in fact, you're actually totally different, but using the total difference to make it only seem as if you're just a little bit different. The rate of change is simply you being willing to engineer a shift to a parallel reality universe that is as different as you prefer it to be without necessarily creating a series of successive steps. It's all how you define that shift, all how you define yourself in that next universe, so that you will only take yourself to the universe that holds that definition you hold of yourself. And that's what you will experience. So if you have a definition of change that says, I can only change a little bit, or it's difficult to change, or I can only change slowly, what you will then be doing is actually popping through completely different whole universes that are very similar to the one you left from. Or you can say, I am totally different, and you can shift to a universe that then is very, very different from the one you shifted from. It's really up to you, and it's really up to your belief systems and definitions as to exactly how you experience that rate of change, that rate of shifting. But all those realities all exist right now. It's up to you to change the channel. And you can go from channel 1 to channel 2 to channel 3 to channel 4 to channel 5, channel 6, channel 7, or you can simply go channel 1, channel 10. You can do that. And you can even go channel 1, channel 10, channel 2, channel 5, channel 1, channel 10, channel 9, channel 7, channel 8, channel 20, channel 30, channel 100, channel 1. You can do that too. And you do that all the time. Many times when you say, oh, I haven't been able to change, I haven't been able to make this change. Many times you actually have changed, but then you've simply changed back. That's all. So again, it's a matter of really understanding the concept of state of being, and when you're in a certain state of being, you really are in a different reality. You really are a different person. Please, 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 please take me literally. Please take me literally. This isn't a metaphor. This isn't a metaphor. You literally are a different person when you make any shift at all. Literally a different person. So, whatever you define, truly define that person to be, that's the total reality that exists as well. If you suddenly define yourself to be a person that has a very different behavior pattern than the other person you were a moment ago, or again, perhaps more precisely, if you define that your consciousness is now perceiving itself through the matrix of a different universal reality than it did a moment ago, that reality is a total reality with its own sense of history, its own sense of its own future, and it bears no relationship whatsoever to the other universe you were in unless you have defined in that universe that it contains a similar component that makes it seem as if it has a similarity to the universe you were in. So again, if you feel that things are difficult to change or they change more slowly than you would prefer, all you're simply doing is creating a new, whole, total universe that has a lot of similarity to the one you were just in. But you don't have to do that. If you do that, however, that might be a clue to you that you may have belief systems that says, I'm not comfortable going any faster than that, changing any more radically than that. Why not? And then it's up to you to explore your belief systems and your definitions to find out why the pace is what the pace is. Because it may actually serve you in a number of ways. Just because sometimes things change slowly doesn't mean that's a negative thing. You yourself may require that pace for a variety of positive reasons. So allow yourself to truly examine why things are happening in the way they are by first allowing yourself to know that whatever is happening is what needs to be happening because it's a true reflection of your state of being at that moment. A true reflection. And when you get in touch with what it is a reflection of in terms of your beliefs and your definitions, then you will have far more conscious leeway and awareness to make the next change, define the next change in the way that you prefer to, or closer to what you prefer than you did before. And you may then feel yourself accelerating, things changing more rapidly, more synchronicity coming into your life, however it expresses itself. But the key is to understand that you already change totally every time you change, anytime you change. So it's not about having to learn to change. It's not about having to manipulate one little piece of the puzzle here and another little piece of the puzzle there. Every move you make changes everything, everywhere, every when. It's really up to you to simply determine what kind of total change you prefer, and to examine what it is within you that will allow you or not allow you to give yourself permission to experience that change. Now, this is why we have also called this idea the 13th step. We understand on your program with respect to the concept of addiction that there are such things as 12-step programs, and these are all well and good. We are in no way, shape, or form invalidating. We understand they help many people. We are also adding at the same time this concept of the 13th step, that when an individual, not someone fooling themselves, not someone pretending, but when an individual truly understands that every change is a total change. For example, someone with what you call an addiction, someone who chooses something again and again, they say they don't prefer, yet they are still motivated to choose it. That's an addict, no matter what it is. When you choose that over and over again without knowing why, in that sense, that's an addiction. The idea is that if you know every change is a total change, and you actually understand that when you change you become a completely different person, you are capable of defining that new person as someone who does not have an addiction and never did. That's why, if you actually use the 13th step when dealing with the concept of addiction, you will actually get to a place where you will be a person who doesn't even have the concept of having to worry about whether they will get the urge again to fall back into that pattern, because the point is if you're truly another person, you never had the pattern, you never had the addiction, and you will never feel the urge because it's not part of the makeup of your universe. Is that clear? Yes. Now, again, the degree of efficacy with which you use this concept is really up to you, and it may, when you begin to play with it, spark a process within you of getting in touch with the belief systems within you that may be connected to the idea of choices that might be read as addictions, so on and so forth. That's all right. The point is, if you start to work with this concept of ultimate change, total change, the 13th step, it will begin to allow you the freedom to understand. You do not have to fear. You do not have to fear that something can somehow reach out from the past and control you, that you are, in that sense, controlled by the things you were, and that you have no power against them. If you want to create that reality experience, you can. But remember, you're creating the experience of seeming to be powerless, and you're using your power to create it. So, there's the paradox. You need to understand that it's simply a matter of how you define yourself, and how you define yourself is what's going to determine where your power flows and in what way it manifests. It's as simple as that. So when you know every change is a total change, you can really start fresh, you can really start from scratch, you can really clean the slate and allow yourself the freedom, the permission, and the freedom to really know you are a new person with a completely new understanding and idea, and anything that was no longer is in that state for the you are right now. Make sense?
Yes.
All right. Simple physics, science of the obvious. That's all this is. That's all this is. Let it sink in. You don't have to get it all now. You don't have to get it all at once. As we said, every one of these ideas is a piece of a big picture, and the idea is to use them all holistically. And this is why we are stressing, shall we say, the idea, underscoring, shall we say, the idea of one leads to the other, the science of the obvious. If you know this, then you know that. Because when you have that foundation, when you have that spine, when you have that core, anytime you may find yourself getting a little bit confused, a little bit fuzzy on one particular concept or another, one particular tool or another, all you need to do is follow the spine all the way back to the beginning. Everything is one thing. It literally is just one thing. From that knowledge, from that knowing, go back down the spine in succession, clarifying on the way, making sure everything is based on the initial principle, and that will act as a clarifying mechanism for whatever it is you are dealing with at that moment. Does that make sense? All right. Are there any questions right now? All right.
How does our collective agreements with our collective consciousness, how would that affect any limits we place on ourselves?
Thank you. How do our collective agreements affect the idea of the changes we want to make and any limitations we place upon ourselves? Again, remember this. You will have agreed to certain collective ideas. At the same time, the way you experience that collective agreement is through the creation of your version of the collective in your own reality. You follow me? So, even though you are engaged with the collective, the only way the collective agreement actually translates into your reality is through the filters of the representative symbols you've created in your reality to represent the collective. So you can tweak that as well. Make sense?
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does, although then why do we have to?
Because it functions as a starting point. It functions as a guideline. It gives you some basis and some bearing so that you don't necessarily have to be consciously aware of everything. It's like having a little bit of an autopilot so that you don't necessarily have to watch every little gauge and every little control every single moment, so that you can focus on what you prefer and know that the rest of it will automatically follow to a certain extent. Then where you want to actually truly create a change that's different from the collective in a way, then you can focus on that and know that the collective will still support that change, because the collective agreement says we will support individual change to a certain point. You follow me? Now, sometimes you can stretch that point as well, but generally speaking, the collective will allow change to a certain point. That point is usually always beyond the point that is necessary for you to change. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like a game with a set of ground rules.
Yes. And sometimes some of the ground rules can be changed through collective agreement, but also sometimes they can be changed on an individual basis. It just depends on how that serves everyone as well. Because again, the collective sometimes will agree that an individual can change all the ground rules. You understand?
Yes.
And therefore, you can take advantage of that, shall we call it, loophole in the collective. Because there is an overall consensus that sometimes a single individual has an insight that actually will allow the collective to function on a higher level. And so that availability, that opportunity is always there. All you need to do is find your particular expression of it, your particular tunnel, your particular doorway to walk through that represents your version of using that part of the collective agreement. And the best way to do that is to follow your passion. That's why our civilization is so dynamic and always changing, is because our collective agreement allows at any given moment an individual to spontaneously change the ground rules for everybody. And everybody's okay with that. So the ground rules are always changing, and we have a reality that collectively is expanding in so many different directions at once simultaneously that almost anything is possible in our reality. Make sense?
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
So if one individual can change the ground rules,
Yes.
what if everyone is not okay with it? I mean, I'm thinking of an example like Hitler,
Yes.
who changed the ground rules for many people.
Yes.
Now, were those people in agreement?
On one level, yes.
Okay, they were operating at a low frequency?
In some senses, yes, but also look at the whole idea from many different levels. This is not a condoning of bad behavior, but the idea is to understand that even something like that can function as an opportunity for everyone else to understand what they actually would like the ground rules to be. So that it's a, shall we say, example of helping clarify for you what you really do prefer by giving you a strong example of what you don't.
Right.
Because the way you have engineered many of your mentalities is that it's actually easier for you. You have made it easier to see the light by first understanding that there is darkness.
I understand.
So it can be used in a positive way, and so the collective can use it that way and allows it to happen to a certain point, but then there will be a shift where they will finally get the point of what the individual may be showing, and thus they can then use that to change the ground rules in the direction that they actually prefer collectively.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
But-
It does make sense, except I'm just looking at how we can avoid such a thing.
All right, well, again, it's all about self-love, self-empowerment, instead of self-loathing, instead of self-diminishment. You follow?
Yes.
Because
yes.
if you diminish yourselves, if you loathe yourselves, if you segregate your consciousness and compartmentalize it in that way, there will always be a consciousness willing to come along and use that.
Okay, I see that.
So if you make it not probable that such a thing exists to be used, then no one, in a sense, will come in to play that game because that's not the game you're playing. They will incarnate somewhere where someone's playing that game. But if you make it so that you have learned from that game that you don't prefer to play that game anymore, then no one else will be able to come in and play that game because you're not playing with the same pieces anymore.
I understand that. I'm actually not worried so much about for myself. I just don't like that whole thing occurring. And I know that there are parts of the world, and I'm sure parts of other worlds, that have such games going on.
Oh, yes. But this is why it is helpful, shall we say, to share the idea with everyone that you are self-empowered. You can play that game if it serves you, but you don't have to play that game.
Right. I'm looking at my connection with other people.
Yes.
And
Which is still a reflection of your connection to yourself, too.
yes, but I'm looking at other people who are going through situations of that sort.
Yes. And what can you do to help?
What can I do to help? And
I just told you.
well, okay, but I
Yes.
feel somewhat of a connection.
Yes.
For me to look at that going on, to
Yes.
know what's going on, to focus on it,
Yes.
is it brings my frequency down, shall we say?
Why?
Because
Why
it's-
do you choose?
Oh, I don't.
Yes, you do.
Well, yes,
Again,
that's true.
yes.
Okay.
Listen to the words. This is what we talked about before.
Yes.
Listen to the way the belief guides you to a specific conclusion you don't prefer. It brings my frequency down.
Yes, that's true.
I choose to match that frequency is the correct response for a preferential point of view.
Okay, well, I actually don't prefer to have my attention on such things.
You can have attention and awareness on such things without choosing to let your frequency lower.
Well, I've actually done that as well.
All right,
But
then why not do that all the time?
I can do that all the time. I think I just kind of needed permission.
Then
to
give
do
yourself
that.
permission.
I have permission.
Then you can observe and help anyone in any situation because you also know they are you.
Yes.
And thus then you can reflect to them, this is how, you can reflect to them your knowledge that the state you prefer to be in is the state that will actually help them the most, whether they choose to match your frequency or not.
Yes, I
But
agree.
you don't need to match their frequency. And in fact, if you do, you're actually not helping them do anything but perpetuate the frequency they're on.
I agree. I think it was just my upbringing to make me feel
I
empathetic
understand.
and maybe sympathetic, but mostly empathetic.
Yes, empathy is really what you prefer.
Yes.
Sympathy reinforces the negative side.
Absolutely.
So, now that you know your energy does not have to go down, are you open to being of assistance when and where synchronicity brings it to you? And know that all you need to do is stay in the state of your preference, and by doing so, whether the other person gets it or not, you'll be giving them a reflection of what's possible for them too.
Absolutely.
And that's the way you help.
Yes.
Does that help you?
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One moment. One moment. One moment. One moment. What is your timing?
It's 12 o'clock.
Yes. We sensed the hunger. All right. We will resume this class after your refreshment break, and at that point we will deal perhaps with some further questions. For now, class dismissed.
Thank you, Bashar.
Or I'll say, let us resume the class. All right, now, you all have nice lunch break? Are you all feeling fueled up? All right. I'm going to take a gamble. Jill? Would you go up to the board and remove number 6? Read it out loud. Lottery. Who wants to win the lottery? We'll see how many are telling the truth. Here's the simple point we are making with this idea. Thank you very much for your assistance. Many individuals on your planet, when they play such games as the lottery, in their mindset, more often than not, the majority of them will be thinking, I hope I pick the winning numbers. I hope I pick the winning numbers. I hope I pick the winning numbers. Here's the key. Remember that when you choose your numbers, whether by your own hand or you allow the machine to randomly choose for you, you are still choosing. But the key is not that you will pick the winning numbers. The key is you will pick numbers. You will shift to a reality where those are the winning numbers. You will bend the reality to your numbers, not the other way around. The difference in the mindset is profound, because when you go in saying, I want to pick the winning numbers, I hope I pick the winning numbers, I wish to pick the winning numbers, you're talking about the winning numbers as if it's already decided what they will be. But it's not. Nothing has been drawn. So when you choose numbers from your passion to play this game, the idea is to allow yourself to know that you can allow the reality to match your numbers, not your numbers to match the reality. The idea here also is to understand that when doing this, even though we understand on a physical level, in a physical mind level, many of you say you would like to win the lottery, many of you are really not as excited about it as you think. The idea is that that kind of game brings up within many of you many doubts, many beliefs, many definitions that allow you to process your relationship to the concept of wealth, your relationship to the concept of abundance. And that's how many of you use that opportunity. In that sense, anytime you play, as long as you allow yourself to use the outcome, whatever it is, to explore more thoroughly your relationship to the concept of wealth and abundance, then in that context, you have won. Because that's what most of you use that game for. I am not saying you cannot win, but remember, it's like anything else. If you're truly passionate about something, you bring it into manifestation. Most of you, contrary to what you may think, are actually not that passionate about the lottery as you are about doing the thing itself that you are passionate about. A lottery can be one way in which your reality may afford you the opportunity to do that thing, but it isn't always necessarily the easiest, quickest, and most enjoyable way. So, anytime you play, do so with the understanding that it is for the purpose of opening up for you an opportunity to get in touch with your relationship with abundance, your relationship with wealth. And if you use it that way, you will allow yourself to go into that game in the neutral state of being that represents your highest self, that would actually, so to speak, allow you the greatest probability of actually winning. Your relationship to the concept of wealth. We have begun to discuss this recently in the understanding that many of you also still are harboring the concepts that as you explore spirituality, that there is somehow a contradiction to the concept of physical wealth in having a spiritual life. Of course, there is no such thing. It is all wealth, spiritual wealth, physical wealth. It is all the same wealth expressed in different ways. And as you expand spiritually, there is absolutely no reason but the reasons you create for why physical abundance and physical wealth, those expressions cannot accompany the growth of your own spiritual wealth as well. If you find that you have a relationship with wealth that is conflicting or contradictory, or beliefs or definitions that do not allow you a clear understanding that these are one and the same things, and that one does not have to occur at the expense of another, then you will allow yourself to let all kinds of wealth and all kinds of abundance manifest themselves in perfect timing, whenever, wherever, and however it is required to reflect the unfolding of your life, the growth of yourself in a natural way. You all follow along with this? So when you play the lottery, play it to allow yourself to get in touch with your relationship with wealth and be in the state that you prefer to be, and you will win every time in some way. When winning in any way becomes equal to winning in any other way, you actually afford yourself the greatest probability of allowing abundance to come to you in that way as well as other ways in which you play. Kevin, would you like to go and rip off the next number?
Number 7.
Yes. 7 for Kevin. Dimensions. You may also remove A and B in the same number. Yes? What do you see there?
Several dots.
Several dots.
An arrow.
Yes.
On my left, the T underneath that.
And what do you imagine that means?
I'm going to need to go that way.
Oh, all right, if you wish.
And then another dot in isolation.
All right. Thank you.
The single dot converts into multiple dots over time.
Very, very good. The single dot converts into multiple dots over time. You may sit. Thank you for your help. What does this tell us? What this tells us is this. Dimensions go from one to another through the mechanism of time. Time is the dimensionalizer. Time takes the concept of a static idea, a static reality, and turns it, expands it into the next dimension. So imagine, as you see, that you have a dot, a point, a single space in that sense. Then, by adding the concept of that dot in time, as you understand the illusion, then you create a series of dots that represent the concept of the dot from one moment to the next. As you create the illusion of the same dot from one moment to the next, it creates a line, which is the next dimensional expression. When you take a line over time, the line in the next moment, and in the next, and in the next, and the next, and the next, you create a series of lines which create a plane, the next dimension. When you take a plane in the next moment, the next moment, the next moment, the next moment, you create a volume, the third dimension, as you understand it. When you take the third dimension, the volume, and do it again and again and again and again and again. In the concept of moment-to-moment time, you create the meta-volume, or the concept of parallel simultaneous realities, and so on, and so on, and so on. So the idea of dimensionality, and the reason it is the concept of space-time, is that space provides the initial seed for the dimension, but time is the water that allows it to grow. Time is what stretches the concept into your idea of dimensionality so that it can be experienced in the physical way, in a physical concept, as a process. Time, then, is what allows dimensionality to occur. So when you are thus then exploring the concept of expanding your dimensionality, all you really need to do is get into a state where you understand that time plays a part, and that as you allow it to convert into that mechanism, it will translate not so much as the experience of time, but will translate as the experience of timing. It will be intricately and intimately interwoven into the expansion of the dimension in such a way that timing incidents will occur in your life, and this is what's called synchronicity. So synchronicity is the physical reality experience of the time factor expanding your dimensionality. I'll say it again. Synchronicity is physical reality's way of showing you that everything exists all at once, but the experience of synchronicity in your lives, in physical reality, is your way of understanding that you are now connected very consciously to the dimension of time, the aspect of time that unfolds and expands you dimensionally and raises your frequency, raises your vibration, and lets you know consciously that you are connected to more than you were previously aware of. This is how all of that works together. Does that make some sense to you? All right. Now, we will get into some questions a little bit farther down the line, or down the plane, or down the volume. For now, let us push ahead in time a little bit further. Kaori, would you like to remove the number 8? And what do you find? POV. Thank you. You may sit. Point of view. Now, we have demonstrated this once before. We will demonstrate it again. It requires the 2 volunteers, so we will take Kevin and Kaori for this as volunteers. Thank you for volunteering. And we require a piece of paper with nothing else on it. Take a pen, and on that piece of paper, draw a dot at the top of the page, on both sides of the top of the page, whatever you deem the top to be. And we will do it right now. All right, you may place it between the channel's hands with the dot facing up toward the ceiling.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
All right. You stand on one side, she stands on the other, both of you looking at the dot.
Okay.
Now, again, to aid and assist for those who have not experienced it, and for those listening in, what you are perceiving is a piece of paper that is facing up in a sense. I am holding between the channel's hands, and the dot is on the top. Each is looking at it, one from one side, one from the other, one from the right, one from the left. You each see your own dot, yes?
Yes.
All right. Tell me, which way is the dot moving, to the left or the right?
To the right.
To my left.
Yes. To your right and your left, even though there is only one motion, each perceives it to be moving in a different direction. Who's right? Who's wrong? Both are right. No one is wrong. A completely opposite point of view resulting in a completely opposite result, and both are correct. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You may take your paper. The idea here, again, is to remind yourselves that what you experience in your physical reality utterly depends upon your point of view. And even though you may have a completely opposite point of view from someone else, both are true. Because you're simply seeing the same one thing from a different angle, from a different point of view. And when you do that, you will get different results. Because everything is holographic, everything is multidimensional, everything contains the capacity to be many things. And it depends upon your point of view in terms of what aspect of that thing you will perceive. This is, again, another analogy of the big picture puzzle. Each of you are a puzzle piece. Each of you have a certain shape. Each of you fit uniquely into the puzzle next to each other to create the big picture. If you invalidate any piece of the puzzle, if you try to change that shape into something it is not, if you invalidate that point of view, no one gets to see the big picture. No one. So if you invalidate another, you invalidate yourself and your ability to tap into all that is in the most effortless way possible. So when you come across a situation where one person is saying, I truly see this, and another says, I truly see this, and it seems to be in opposition, that is a sparkling opportunity for you to stand squarely in the middle and understand the power of the paradox in the situation, because somewhere in the middle, both of those seemingly opposing points of view must somehow fit, must somehow come together in the understanding that the piece of paper is moving in one particular direction. But that single direction causes two different perceptions, and that's all right. Taking those two different perceptions and blending them back together can allow you to understand the direction in which the paper is actually moving, how it's actually moving, and give you a greater insight to the underlying